Campbell's comments now with a bit of a wrap, I suppose, firstly, of what's been a very, very successful day here for NZB Standardbreds. James Jennings joins myself and Mark Barton. Firstly, James, great day of selling horses here today.
Yeah, hey, we had such a good feel right from the get-go. Parades yesterday showed the strength of the buying benches, both domestically and, of course, having the chance to welcome our Australian clients back on the soil. And we saw that in the results with aggregate, average and median all up on last year.
15,000, I think, roughly, there was the average for them too, which is just enormous, isn't it?
Yeah, the Colts averaged 18, the fillies close to 13, so that brought us out at a $15,000 average, up on 11 from last year. Median was 12,000, up on 8.5, and turnover increased by 200,000 on last year to 1.4 million.
You're surrounded by Australians, myself and Mark Barton. Great Australian contingency here, though.
Yeah, it's just so good to have them back. You know, they've been desperate to get back. We do believe, as well as our digital format operates, there's still that element of having them on the grounds and seeing the horses in the flesh that just makes their decision so much easier at times.
It does indeed, Barto. It's been a very strong sale. You'd be buoyed by seeing what you've seen out there, especially like with a lot of stallions that share, domicile in Australia as well.
Yeah, look, and I think that's one of the key things for us being here. It's seeing some new season sires and some of the first of their progeny to be offered auction. Both the key vendors, Woodlands and Alabar, their sires are represented heavily in our catalogues going forward. And like you mentioned, there's a number of Australians that are potentially looking at pinhooking some of these horses, and we could see some of those in some of our Australian sales in 2023.
I'll get to that in a sec. Just one thing, James, that was pointed out to me by a Kiwi too, for anyone that's out there that says, cheeky bugger. Kiwis traditionally don't buy first season sires. The way, like Lather Up especially, has been received here today, it's really great signs, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really good. You do see that a lot in the Northern Hemisphere. They really jump onto those first season sides that they love to support. And to see our two top prices were both Captain Crunches, and that was good. And how well the Lather Ups we've seen. I think the Lather Up winnings we saw and the Captain Crunches were very well placed because they were great types, and we saw that being reflected in the price. And to have that first season support augurs well going to the yearling sales.
Yeah, definitely the Captain Crunches, and I do apologise for that. I definitely wear one name on my jacket, but they were lovely types, lovely turned out. Alabar, actually, they'd be stoked. They had a huge sale, didn't they?
Yeah, Graham's has a very pragmatic approach to these sales, and we've seen that in the results. He's placed the horses well and got the results across the board. And working with them on the rostrum all day, in the same way we're working with Andrew, it's just great to see these guys get the results that they were looking for.
They had some great conversations out in the back room, the pair of them, wouldn't they?
Yeah, there is. And there's a bit of banter goes on. It's all good. Occasionally they throw a reserve in for one another's horses just to see if they catch them on their toes.
Absolutely. Mark mentioned there, or Mark, you mentioned there before about pinhooking and the likes. And as I keep saying, it's probably been a dirty word in harness racing for a long time. And like, I'll ask you first, but again, from James's point of view, pinhooking has pretty much been weanling sales, wait for the yearling sales. With Nutrien now, there's definitely more options, and it's an exciting frontier, isn't it?
Yeah, look, for our business, we've been involved in it, with our performance horses, the yearlings at Toowoomba. Often, there's an underpinned market. I think the thoroughbred industry, here in New Zealand and in Australia has really benefited from that pinhooking market. And I see, like I say, there's a number of horses that have gone back to Australia that potentially come into some of these catalogues in Australia, but bearing in mind they're New Zealand eligible. By Australian residing size, a lot of them are Vic eligible, and a couple of horses could end up in, say, a Queensland sale where there's that Queensland domiciled sale race. So, there's a lot of incentive, a lot of futurities for some of these horses, so I love the concept.
Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, once again, being in both the thoroughbred and the standardbred game, pinhooking is a huge part of the thoroughbred market, especially from weanling to yearling, and more particularly yearling to our ready-to-runners. So to see the pinhooking activity that we're seeing domestically, but just as importantly across the Tasman as well. And as Mark highlighted, it's an opportunity for these New Zealand bred horses to go through the sales in Australia. Hopefully everybody gets their chance to get a return on the horse, and it can only augur well with our New Zealand bred horses ending up in Australian stables.
And the reality is, just because they're bought by an Australian doesn't mean they're going to. They could be in the NZB yearling sales later on this year as well. It just gives people those options that they can actually have a look and assess the situation.
Yeah, it certainly does. The options are theirs to evaluate and assess where they want to place them.
And all I was going to say, the same thing, mate. You've seen the amount of horses that were New Zealand size stakes paid up in this last series of sales in Australia, recognising what the potential is for those horses over here. But I think ultimately a good horse is a good horse, and I think we've got it's a healthy market when there's liquidity. If someone can actually be able to say, look, I want to move horses on so I can get back in, and I think that concept creates liquidity, which gives people an opportunity to get back into a new horse.
As a harness purist only, a lot of harness people, I said there before about pinhooking being a dirty word, you guys probably think, well, that's a bit odd because you work in the thoroughbreds, you work with the camp drafters, now you're working with the standard, and you both are. Standardbreds possibly have been a little bit insulin, if you like. Like, I mean, we've only had sales companies that have sold standardbreds. That's been the way it has been. This sort of evolution now, what you guys can bring through the thoroughbred arm of your business, camp drafting arm of your business, and both successful businesses that are only on the rise, both of those, it can only be good for harness racing.
Yeah, certainly it has to be good for harness racing. That's what we need. We need that depth, and that depth comes from the ability to trade those horses through.
Yeah, and Barton, you've seen different things.
Oh, look, there's no secret. We're here because we recognise the benchmark in equine marketing in the Southern Hemisphere. We believe is NZB, particularly in that standardbred space, and they've got a terrific credibility in thoroughbred. So we're here to see, we want to try and benchmark and get better at what we do. These guys have been open about some of the things that have been positive for them. You see the way that their clients present their product and market their product, and their take homes for me. How do we replicate that support that the breeders actually give to the sales companies? And I just think it's a healthy thing for all of us. So we made the point earlier. We opened the thought of the NZB guys coming and seeing what we do in performance horse and in standardbred marketing, and if we can collaborate in some of those non-competitive areas, I think it's great for the industry.
You go to Tamworth, mate. You got to get a big hat.
Yeah. I would love the opportunity to get there. I know the big sales are in February, and of course it clashes with our sales, but I've been speaking with Mark, and hopefully I can get the opportunity to get over there and see those sales. Would be fantastic. And
it is, like I said, you're from a thoroughbred industry, and probably one of the knocks on the thoroughbreds, a lot of them think that's their way or no other way. So you've got to be able to, I suppose, widen your horizons a little bit and have a good look around, don't you?
Well, you certainly do. You're always looking, you're always evaluating, and you're always wanting to see how your markets are going. And of course, the Australian market is so important to us. We've been in a situation that through COVID that we've been unable to travel to Australia, and look, it's wonderful. Our clients have a great rapport, and a phone call is easy, but nothing beats coming up your driveway and seeing them on their own grounds.
Nothing beats being here, does it, Barto?
No, and I've never been to a breeding farm that people aren't proud to show their product, and that's true with what we've done here this week. We've seen the horses here. We've also been to
I got the right.
Yeah, we've been to Brecon Farms, and it's the warmness and the way people have opened up their farms and let us come and have a look. Even some of the reproduction veterinary practices, people are keen to show us what they do and do well, and likewise the Australian breeders are equally as interested in people coming and seeing their product and what they do.
And at the end of the day, for both of you gentlemen, whichever hat you want to wear or whatever, strong sales are great. Yep. We're coming off, as you said there before, great standardbred sales last year, earlier this year I suppose technically, but last season. This weanling sale today, it's just got to be confidence boosting for a lot of people, and make everyone walk it that little bit taller, I suppose, James.
Yeah, we've got to be very mindful that our buyers here today are almost natural-born optimists, and they have to be, because their focus is actually what's going to be in my stable in 18 months to 2 years' time. And so they've got to be the best forward-thinking people on the planet. And I wish a lot more people had the same approach.
I do too, but we'll say this too. I keep saying, got to come here. You got to come. They have to come. Don't they? People like young trainers should come here. Anyone wants to sell horses in the future, they should come here and see how it gets done. There is a reason. And then when I say come here, you can come here yearling sales, come here weanling sales. It's just such a different, event. I just love it though.
Look, the online market, these guys do it extremely well. We've got a sale coming up as well, but there's nothing beats the feeling and even the camaraderie of when you got the multi-vendor sales, the breeders collaborating and working together. I think there's a wonderful feel, and I think that's what COVID, we probably realised what we didn't have once that wasn't available to us, and to get back interactive. If you haven't been to Karaka and seen this complex, add to what they've done with the accommodation, the hotel on site, and the hospitality that the whole country gives you here, but particularly the team here. It's something, if you haven't been, you've got to come, whether it's a weanling or the yearling sales after Christmas.
And we will wrap this up, but that hotel, James, just complements the whole everything, doesn't it? Everything you guys have been trying to achieve here. when I was here last year, I think it was a little bit behind, but you said it was going to get done, and it's been done, and it's really starting to show its teeth now as something really that's just going to grow this whole complex.
Look, we're just so proud of the hotel. It's gorgeous. People say the atmosphere is brilliant. The rooms are spectacular, and we're seeing the support coming through. Like, we're seeing great support for this sale, with occupancy and room nights, and it just adds so much to our ability to create that event environment where we can have our clients, our guests, our friends staying on the grounds and being at the sales. It's a wonderful recipe, and I don't think I can say anything better than what Barto said. Actually, he gave us a great rap, which was magic.
He's not bad at the raps. Don't worry about it. I'm teaching him as I go. I've got to get a hat on that head. He's got too much hair up there, though. But I will get there. Gentlemen, thank you. Is there anything else from either of you guys that you wanted to say?
I just wanted the opportunity to just congratulate everyone on what's been a highly successful sale. Having people from both sides of the Tasman certainly makes for the great events that we try to present here at the sales, and we just wish everyone every success going forward.
No, I'm the same. It's great to get back here after a few years. It's great to see a lot of fantastic mare families and how those crosses work, because we'll see those same horses in 12 months' time. And like I say, I've just enjoyed the fact that ultimately it's one big industry that you, for our company becoming newcomers to it, to be welcomed into it and continue to develop more relationships, more friendships is really important to our business too.
James Jennings, Mark Barton, thank you very much for joining me, guys.